Welcome into the Cleveland Browns Report by Chat Sports. Matthew Peterson here with you all during our live show every Thursday at 4 Eastern. Make sure to tune in next week if you are watching this later. But on today's show, we're rounding up the latest news and rumors, and we are doing it with our Bernie heads here. Scale of believability, 0 Bernie heads on a story. That's fake news. Disregard it. Not going to happen. All the way to 4 Bernie heads, which is Believeland. Take it to the bank. It is a fact. So, the first segment on today's show, Denzel Ward, is him returning to the lineup? Is that big? Is that huge news for the Browns? You betcha. That's 4 Bernie heads right there, guys. Denzel Ward returning to the Browns is huge. Not because he has been a top 5 corner they have sorely missed, but because they need every bit of ammo and boots on the ground when you go up against Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. So Jake Trotter from ESPN Cleveland tweeting out that Denzel Ward saying on whether he'll play Sunday in Miami, yes, sir. Remember, Ward has missed the last 3 games, 4 weeks with the bye due to a concussion he suffered against the Chargers. So they have sorely missed Denzel Ward, sort of, right? Because anytime you lose a star player, it always feels like their absence is a huge impact. But Martin Emerson has done a fantastic job kind of stepping up into a bigger role. Greg Newsome has also turned his play around here. Now, I really want to share this tweet from Cameron Justice with you guys here. Browns' Denzel Ward said he did things like spending time in a hyperbaric chamber and doing light therapy to take care of his brain following his concussion. So, clearly Denzel Ward doing everything he can to get back on the field, which I'm not going to say names, but there are some players and teams out there that don't go that way. Looking at the Las Vegas Raiders, who just put 2 players on IR and they're punting on the year. I said it. All right, Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle this year are great. I mean, Tyreek Hill, over 1,000 yards, and this is before Week 10. He had 1,200 yards all of last year, and he played every game last year. He's going to get over 2,000 yards this year. Jalen Waddle, I mean, if there wasn't Tyreek Hill there, we would probably talk more about him, but because he's second fiddle, his 812 yards this year and 6 touchdowns, which, by the way, those yards, that's 5th best in the NFL, sort of gets forgotten about. Which brings me to what Brown Tiger, one of the MVPs here at the channel, super chatted about, saying, do you think we have the players to significantly slow down Hill and Waddle? I really like what Brown Tiger points out here with players. It's not on Denzel Ward. Denzel Ward is not going to shadow Tyreek Hill. The Dolphins do a great job of moving Hill all over the offense. They'll put him in the slot. They'll put him outside the numbers. They'll put him in the backfield. When he bounces around like that, you're going to have linebackers to safeties to corners, everyone getting a piece of the pie in what is the challenge of covering Tyreek Hill. And then there's this guy named Jalen Waddle too. Now, Denzel Ward is going to have the opportunity to really redeem himself after a bad start to the season. Pro Football Focus has him ranked 110th. Listen, you don't have to live or die by PFF, but PFF, it gives you a good benchmark of where some players usually stand in the pecking order. And Denzel Ward, let's call it how it is, has not had a good season. An overall grade of 39.8. Run defense, 41.5. His coverage grade, 43.2. Denzel Ward has been underwhelming and disappointing so far this season. But here's the beauty, guys. He's got the ultimate stage in front of him to turn this season around and save it with a big game against Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, and the Dolphins. Listen, all of Denzel Ward's missed snaps and underwhelming play through the first couple of weeks of the season, my eyes will get washed away if I see Tyreek Hill has 3 grabs for 45 yards and no touchdowns. So Denzel Ward, he's ready for the challenge. When you're a top 5 paid corner, you expect to be able to shut down top 5 paid wide receivers. That's why they gave you $100 million, Denzel. And I have belief and I have faith that 21 will step up to the challenge and come through. But what's your confidence level in the Browns defense against Miami? Use a scale of 1 to 10 for me to let me know where you're at for the Browns defense against this really, really good Dolphins offense. All right, next story we're going to talk on today's show is this the biggest game yet for Myles Garrett? I'm giving it 4 Bernie heads, back-to-back 4 Bernie heads. And I'm going to tell you why Myles Garrett absolutely has to have the biggest game of his season so far. But first, Established Titles, our brand new sponsor, I got to tell you about. So today's Browns Report is sponsored by Established Titles. Established Titles is a fun and novel way to help preserve the natural woodlands of Scotland while helping global reforestation efforts. It is a project based on a historic Scottish custom where landowners are referred to as lairds or lords and ladies in English. Title packs give you at least 1 square foot of dedicated land with a unique plot number on a private estate in Edelston, Scotland, and an official certificate with a crest. We plant a tree with every order and work with global charities, One Tree Planted, and Trees for the Future to support global reforestation efforts. You can officially include the title Lord or Lady on your credit card, plane tickets, dating profiles, etc. It makes a great last-minute gift. The first 200 people purchasing a title pack using my link will effectively be next to my plot within a few minutes of walking distance. Depending on how many of you want to become a lord or a lady, we can build our own little Browns Report kingdom. It makes an amazing last-minute gift. Established Titles is actually running a massive early Black Friday sale right now with discounts up to 80% off. Plus, if you use code CHAT at checkout, you get an additional 10% off. Go to establishedtitles.com/chat to get your gifts now and help support the channel. That link for everyone I have in the comments and the description of today's show. Let's get back to Myles Garrett having to have the best game of his season thus far, because he is going up against Tua Tagovailoa, who's got 69% nice completion percentage this year, nearly 2,000 yards, 15 touchdowns to 3 interceptions, and he's missed some games this year. Remember that. So he's put up big numbers, and honestly, he'd be much more in MVP contention if not for the concussions. But here's why Myles Garrett has to have the biggest game of his career. This is Tua's passing chart. Look where all the green is for the most part. Downfield. I know we love to say Tua can't throw the deep ball. That's a bit of a fallacy in my opinion. So the Browns defense, they're going to need to have guys in coverage to defend downfield passes. And because of that, the Browns likely will only be able to rush 4. These 4 specifically: Myles Garrett, Jordan Elliott, Taven Bryan, and Jadeveon Clowney. So it is up to these 4 to get after Tua, to break up his perfect, number 1 passing rating when he has a clean pocket. So the Dolphins, they love to throw over the middle of the field, which means the Browns, they can't really afford to blitz linebackers. They need those linebackers in coverage. I know we love to bitch and moan about Joe Woods' zone defense, but this is the type of game where nice linebacker sitting in a zone defense over the middle, spying on the quarterback, is going to do great things for Cleveland. But if those 4 can't get after Tua, well, then Joe Woods left with no option than to start sending the house, start blitzing linebackers. And that's when Tua and Tyreek Hill, well, Tyreek Hill's not just a deep threat. He's a guy that can take 10 yards into 50. So Jadeveon Clowney and Myles Garrett. These are the 2 guys I am calling on to have the best game so far of the year. No pressure or anything. Clowney, we'll talk about it more in detail in just a second. But Jadeveon Clowney and Myles Garrett, they are the 1-2 punch of this front 4. And they have got to carry the weight because we all know Jordan Elliott and Taven Bryan, they're not going to go off for 2.5 sacks. Now, Jadeveon Clowney has missed some time this year, 3 games altogether due to a high ankle sprain. But the last 2 weeks, we've seen him ramp up his snaps. Against the Ravens in Week 7, he had 23 snaps, which was good for 36%. But then against the Bengals the next week, 36 snaps, 13 more for 68%. His season-high snap percentage, I think, was 84 in Week 1 against the Panthers. Hopefully, we can turn 68 closer into 75 here. All right, speaking of the Dolphins, we've got our own Dolphins channel here at Chat Sports. In fact, our Dolphins host, Will Scott, wants to dress me up in a Dolphin costume if the Dolphins win. So help me out by embarrassing his little Miami Dolphins YouTube channel, because we are doing a race to 100 subs starting today. Everyone's at 0. Let's blow them out of the water. Dog Pound, calling on you guys. Let's go Browns, and let's subscribe. All right, third and final story coming up here. David Njoku. Is he playing? 2 Bernie heads. The fact that we're having this conversation sort of blows my mind. For a guy in Week 7 who suffered an ankle sprain, was supposed to be out 2 to 5 weeks, and he wanted to play as soon as 7 days later against the Bengals. So give credit to Njoku for pushing through and doing everything he can to play as soon as possible. Now, here's what Mary Kay tweeted out when Kevin Stefanski was asked about Njoku playing. Kevin Stefanski doesn't know if David Njoku will be able to play, but I wouldn't rule him out. This might be one of those game time decisions where ultimately he walks on the field and it's not feeling 100%, and that's fine. You don't have to push it because Njoku, getting him back would be huge for this team. I mean, he was the second leader in targets before he got hurt, with 42, tied with Donovan Peoples-Jones. 418 yards. He was having the best year of his career, and I don't want to see him come back a little bit too early, that ankle not be right, and then that sort of just sets the rest of the season in limbo. I mean, we kind of learned from Clowney. Clowney came back, wasn't ready, went back and missed the next 2 weeks. So don't push an ankle injury. I understand this has must-win feels to it, but the Browns, they beat the Bengals without David. I think they could potentially manage to knock off the Dolphins without his services too. All right, other injury news to quickly get on here on Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. Joe Woods, the defensive coordinator, saying he's rehabbing, but it's one of those day-to-day things. It's a bummer to see JOK miss some time last year with a knee injury, and here it is again this year with a knee injury. He missed the Bengals game, had the bye. Hopefully, if he's not able to go this week, the following week against the Bills, when you need all hands on deck, 3 weeks off, hopefully that's enough for 28 to get back onto the field. I predict the score for me, everyone. Browns, Dolphins. Who you got? Let me know. I am crazy in the head. I am a bit delusional, but I'm all in on the Browns, baby. I think they're back. 33-28. They did it against the Bengals. They had the bye. Kevin Stefanski has never lost coming off the bye. Think about this for a second. Think about the 5-year-olds walking around Cleveland who have no idea what it's like to lose after a bye. It's been that long. I can't even remember it. It's going to be 3-0. The Brownies are going to win. The Cleveland Browns are going to beat the Dolphins. They're going to clap it up. Everyone clap it up right now for the Browns. They're going to get to 4-5 and have a tough test against the Bills. But if it's Case Keenum, I'm sinking my teeth into this team going all the way to the Super Bowl.